Let me ask you something. If I took away your car, your house, your job, your money, would you still be you? Because if the answer is no, then you built your life on the wrong foundation. See, you can have the Rolex, the Benz, the followers, the title, but if you ain't got peace, purpose, and passion, success isn't about the car you drive, the square footage of your home, or the brand stitched onto your clothes. It's about something far deeper. Something that can't be posted on Instagram or measured in your bank account. Success is rooted in purpose, not possessions. It's about waking up every day with a sense of direction, a reason for your existence, a mission that moves you from the inside out. When you understand your purpose, you no longer chase things that fade. You start building a life that lasts. Most people are taught that success means having more money, more recognition, more status. But the truth is, that kind of success is fragile. It's conditional. The moment the money goes, the status goes with it. The moment the applause fades, the identity starts to crumble. But purpose doesn't fade. Purpose doesn't rely on external circumstances. It gives you something no amount of money can buy, meaning. And meaning is what fuels real success. Look around. You'll find countless people with wealth but no joy, power but no peace. They've reached the top of their career ladders only to realize their ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. They bought the dream, but now they're bankrupt emotionally and spiritually. Why? Because they chased possessions thinking they would find fulfillment. But fulfillment only comes from within. It comes from knowing you're doing what you were born to do. Purpose is what keeps you going when money isn't enough. It's what wakes you up at 5 a.m., not because you have to, but because you're inspired to. It's what makes you say, I was made for this, even on the hard days. You don't need a fancy title or 1 million followers to be successful. You need alignment between your values, your passion, and your actions. That's what real success looks like. Let me break it down. Possessions are temporary. Cars break down. Houses age. Trends fade. But your purpose, your calling is eternal. It doesn't matter if you're a janitor, a teacher, a coach, a nurse, an entrepreneur, or an artist. If you're walking in your purpose, you're successful. If you're using your gifts to serve others and better the world around you, you've already won. The problem is, we've been programmed to measure success with numbers, likes, followers, income, views, awards. But numbers don't tell the whole story. They don't measure the smile on someone's face after you help them. They don't show the tears of a life you changed with a word of encouragement. Purpose-driven success isn't loud. It doesn't always come with applause. But it's powerful. It's lasting. And it gives you peace when your head hits the pillow at night. You might not be where you want to be financially. You might not have all the material things you dream of. But if you're living with integrity, walking in your purpose, and showing up for the people you love, don't let anyone tell you you're not successful. You are. Because success is not about accumulation. It's about contribution. So ask yourself, if everything you own disappeared tomorrow, would your life still have meaning? If the answer is yes, you found your purpose. If the answer is no, it's time to stop chasing possessions and start discovering what you were made to do. Because real success starts the moment you start living on purpose, not for praise, not for profit, but for passion and impact. That's the kind of success that never runs dry. In a world obsessed with numbers, bank balances, social media followers, views, likes, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that success is about how much you earn. But the truth is, your income doesn't tell the full story. Real success is measured by impact, by the way your life affects others, by the change you create, by the legacy you leave behind. There are people making 6 and 7 figures who go home every day feeling empty. They've mastered the art of making money, but they've forgotten the value of making a difference. They might have corner offices, luxury cars, and high steps titles, but when they look in the mirror, they know something's missing. That's because no amount of money can fill the space where purpose and connection are supposed to live. Think about the teachers, the social workers, the single parents grinding every day, not for applause or big checks, but to make sure someone else has a better shot in life. They don't get bonuses or headlines, but they're shaping futures. They're changing lives. That's impact. And that kind of success doesn't come with a dollar sign. When you focus only on income, your life becomes transactional. You do things for profit, not for purpose. But when you focus on impact, your work becomes transformational. You start to ask different questions. Who can I serve? How can I help? What kind of difference can I make today? And when you start to live like that, something amazing happens. You still find success, but it's rooted in meaning. Impact-driven people don't just clock in and out. They show up fully. They go the extra mile, not because they're getting paid to, but because they care, because their heart is in it, because they understand that every word, every action, every decision creates ripples in someone else's life. That's powerful. That's real success. Now let's be clear. Making money isn't wrong. Money is a tool. It's neutral. It can be used to do incredible things. But money without meaning is empty. You can buy stuff, but you can't buy fulfillment. You can build wealth, but if you're not building people along the way, what's it really worth? Some of the most successful people in the world aren't the wealthiest. They're the most impactful. They're mentors, community leaders, creatives, healers, coaches, parents. People who decided that their life wasn't just about them. And that's the shift. That's when you stop living for success and you start living for significance. You don't have to wait until you're rich to make an impact. You don't need a platform, a title, or 1 million followers. All you need is the decision to use what you have where you are to help someone else. That's it. Impact starts with intention. It starts with kindness, with courage, with showing up when it matters most. So the next time someone asks you what you do, don't just tell them your job title. Tell them what kind of impact you're making. Tell them who you're helping, what you're building, what you're leaving behind. Because in the end, people won't remember your salary. They'll remember your spirit. They'll remember how you made them feel. They'll remember the difference you made when it counted. You can chase income your whole life and still feel like something's missing. Or you can chase impact and build a life that truly matters. The choice is yours. We live in a time where people wear their net worth like a badge of honor, as if the number in their bank account defines their value as a human being. But the truth is, self-worth is not defined by net worth. Who you are has absolutely nothing to do with what you own. You are not your paycheck, your title, your status, or your possessions. You are more than numbers, more than labels, more than what the world sees on the surface. One of the biggest lies society teaches us is that you have to make it to be worth something. That unless you're rich, you're not important. That unless you've got status, you're not successful. But think about this. What happens when you lose the job? When the business fails? When the money slows down? If your worth is tied to those things, then your identity crashes with them. That's why it's so dangerous to measure who you are by what you have. Real self-worth comes from within. It's rooted in character, in values, in resilience. It comes from how you treat people when no one's watching. It comes from the battles you've overcome, the integrity you've held on to, the love you give freely, and the way you show up when life gets hard. None of that can be bought. None of that shows up on a bank statement. But that's what really defines you. Some of the strongest, most grounded people you'll ever meet don't have big salaries or flashy lifestyles. They have self-respect. They know who they are. They don't need to prove anything to anyone because they've done the inner work. On the flip side, There are people with massive wealth who are constantly chasing approval, addicted to validation, and terrified of being exposed as someone who doesn't have it all together. That's because no amount of money can fix a broken identity. And here's the truth. When you know your worth, you show up differently. You don't settle for toxic relationships. You don't chase after things that don't align with your values. You stop comparing yourself to everyone else because you know what you bring to the table. You start making decisions based on vision, not insecurity. You walk into rooms with confidence, not because of what's in your wallet, but because of what's in your heart. Too many people are waiting to feel worthy once they make it, once they hit 6 figures, once they buy the house, once they get the recognition. But self-worth isn't something you earn later, it's something you embrace now. You are already enough. You are born enough. You have value right now, even in your struggle, even in your growth, even in your imperfections. This doesn't mean you stop striving or stop growing. It means you stop tying your identity to your performance. You pursue success because you know your worth, not to prove it. You go after goals because you believe in your potential, not because you're trying to earn love, respect, or validation. That shift changes everything. So don't let a number define you. Don't let someone else's highlight reel make you question your journey. Don't measure your self-worth with a measuring stick made of money. The world may try to box you in, but you got to remind yourself daily, I am more than what I have. I am more than what I do. I am who I am. And that is enough. When your self-worth is secure, no success can inflate your ego and no failure can break your spirit. You become unshakable, not because you have it all, but because you know who you are. And that, more than anything, is what makes you truly successful. There's a reason people with everything on paper, wealth, fame, power, can still feel lost, anxious, and unfulfilled. It's because peace and fulfillment are priceless and no material possession can substitute for them. You can't buy inner peace at the store. You can't swipe a credit card and receive a sense of meaning. And yet, most of society is stuck in a cycle of chasing more, believing that when they finally get there, they'll feel complete. But peace and fulfillment don't live at the end of a paycheck or inside a luxury home. They come from alignment, living in truth, purpose, and integrity with who you are. People confuse comfort with peace. They think because they can afford vacations and nice things, they're at peace. But peace isn't about external calm, it's internal. You can be lying on a beach in paradise and still be battling chaos in your mind. You can sleep in a king-size bed and still wrestle with restlessness every night. Peace is when your heart is settled, when you're not constantly at war with yourself, when you no longer need to pretend, perform, or prove. And fulfillment is deeper than happiness. It's not about constant pleasure or momentary highs. It's about living with meaning, about knowing your life has value beyond what you earn or own. It's waking up and knowing there's a reason you're here, something you're contributing, something bigger than you that you're connected to. You don't need to be rich to be fulfilled. You need to be aligned with your purpose. There are people working jobs that pay modestly, but they go to work every day with a sense of joy and satisfaction because they know they're doing what they were made to do. Then there are others who earn more in a month than most do in a year, but every morning feels like a burden. Why? Because their soul isn't in it. The work may be profitable, but it's not meaningful. They might be successful by the world's standards, but they're empty inside. That's the danger of defining life by dollars instead of depth. Peace and fulfillment requires something money can't provide: honesty. You've got to be honest with yourself about who you are, what you value, and what really matters. You've got to be willing to let go of appearances and start asking deeper questions. Am I living in a way that honors my truth? Am I showing up authentically? Do I like the person I've become? When you chase money over meaning, you might gain success, but lose yourself. But when you chase alignment over applause, you gain something much more powerful: peace that isn't shaken by circumstances, and fulfillment that isn't tied to achievements. Now, let's be real. Money can solve problems. It can bring comfort, opportunity, and security. But if your inner life is in turmoil, all the money in the world won't fix that. That's why you see people with everything still turning to drugs, to destructive habits, to numb the pain. They filled every room in their house, but they're still empty inside. That's because the hole in your soul can't be filled with stuff. It can only be filled with true love, purpose, and peace. So don't get caught in the trap. Don't confuse the high life with a fulfilled life. Don't sacrifice peace for status or trade fulfillment for a paycheck. The greatest wealth is waking up with a calm mind and a full heart. The real flex is sleeping well at night, knowing you're living right, not pretending. That kind of peace, that kind of fulfillment, you can't buy it. You build it one honest, intentional, purpose-driven day at a time. So many people are chasing a lifestyle, but few are building a life. There's a big difference between the two. A lifestyle is about appearances, how things look from the outside. It's about showing off the car, the clothes, the vacations, the followers. It's curated. It's often designed to impress. But a life, a real meaningful life, it gives you a purpose. But a life, a real, meaningful life, that's something deeper. That's about substance, not style. That's about roots, not just branches. Building a life means choosing growth over glamour, purpose over popularity, and legacy over luxury. When you chase a lifestyle, you're always on the clock, always performing, always upgrading. Because no matter how much you achieve, it's never enough. Someone always has more. You post a highlight reel, but you feel the emptiness behind the scenes. That's because a lifestyle can't give you stability. It can't hold you together when things fall apart. It's fragile, built on likes, trends, and validation from the outside. But building a life is different. When you're building a life, you're investing in what really matters. Your character, your relationships, your health, your purpose. You're creating something solid, something that won't collapse when money slows down or when social media goes quiet. A life isn't about what you show people. It's about how you live when no one's watching. It's the legacy your kids remember, the impact your friends feel, the difference your presence makes in a room. The truth is, lifestyle fades. What's fashionable today will be old news tomorrow. What's impressive now will be forgotten next year. But a life built on values, on love, service, and authenticity, that's timeless. That's the kind of success that doesn't need to be flaunted because it's felt. People may not always see it, but they'll feel your presence, your integrity, your peace. You don't build a life by accident. It's not something that happens just because you're busy. It's something you build with intention, brick by brick, choice by choice. It means asking hard questions. Who am I becoming? Am I living in alignment with what matters most to me? Am I giving my time and energy to things that last or just things that shine for a moment? Building a life often requires sacrifice. It might mean saying no to temporary pleasure in favor of long-term peace. It might mean walking away from what's popular to stay true to what's right. It might mean putting in work that doesn't get likes or applause, but builds something lasting in your soul. It's not always glamorous, but it's always worth it. You don't have to reject success or nice things. You can enjoy the lifestyle, but don't let it replace the life. Use the money, the influence, the opportunities, but don't let them use you. Make sure what you're building isn't just big, it's strong. Make sure the success is not just visible, but valuable. That's what building a life is about. At the end of the day, no one remembers you for the brand you wore or the car you drove. They remember how you loved, how you lived, and how you lifted others. They remember the way you made them feel, the things you stood for, and the life you led when no one was clapping. So stop chasing what looks good and start creating what is good. Build something you're proud of when the lights are off and the noise fades. Because lifestyle may impress for a moment, but a meaningful life, that's what leaves a legacy. And legacy is the only thing that outlives you.